Indian Americans are the fastest growing racial group in the U.S., and their rapid growth can be tracked back to the 1960s when a change in immigration policy led to a migration boom of Indian workers. ABC's Zareen Shah sat down with 3 Indian members of Congress to discuss the impact of their representation and policies that both unite as well as divide them.
Let's rewind a bit. 1960, there were 12,000 Indian immigrants in this country. Now there's 5 million. You have a half Indian vice president, 5 Indian American members of Congress. There's a lot of people who are watching your growth and wondering how this happened.
Well, I think it's the natural journey of immigrant groups to this country. I think first they establish their financial security, then they help their local not-for-profits, their mandirs, their mosques, and they help, other people in need, just like themselves, and then they, I think, get involved in the civic affairs of the country.
At one point, I felt that I achieved my American dream, but I want to go help others achieve their American dream, especially living in Detroit, seeing how American dream is not accessible to many people. Opportunities are just not there. I said the best way for me to help would be to be in public service.
We have seen a surge in undocumented Indian immigrants, different from how you guys came here, grown 70% in the last 15 years or so. Why do you think that surge is happening right now?
Well, our legal immigration system is totally messed up, that it makes people desperate. I mean, the legal immigration issue and the undocumented immigration issue are connected to each other. It doesn't necessarily justify people coming in illegally, but it helps to explain that when, for instance, someone coming from India today, applying for an H-1B visa and receiving one, it would take them 100 years. I'm not making that number up. 100 years to matriculate into a green card.
We're here at the IA Impact Summit. This is a big conference for Indian Americans. It happens every year. Why is this so important? And why do you think it's so important this year in particular?
I mean, I think it's really important because we've got a real opportunity to increase our numbers for Indian Americans.
Potentially double is what I'm hearing.
Potentially double here in Congress. And I think that when you have that representation, several things happen. You change the way other people see their opportunities. You really engage people to vote more in our democracy. You get better policy.
Given the population of Indian Americans, I feel that 5 members is not sufficient representation, and we need to strive for more. Indian Americans have done so well economically in every other field, but we haven't built that political muscle, and we need to build that.
Let's talk about TikTok really quick. Is there going to be someone here in this country who buys TikTok? At this moment in time, does it look like there will be?
Yes. I have not yet met a single person who wants their TikTok controlled by the Chinese Communist Party versus a TikTok that's not. And that's the aim of this bill. It's not a ban. It's meant
But if it's not sold in 12 months, within 12 months, it will be banned, right?
It won't be available until it gets sold.
How big of a concern? Do you think it can be found before November?
One. I mean, I think that there's a very small number of people that could take it over, and frankly, some of those people, I would have just as many concerns in terms of controlling the content on TikTok as I do of the Chinese government. And so I think that there is a bigger concern here around how we address all of our social media platforms and communication on social media platforms. And I do think it may have a negative impact on the election, but I don't think it's going to be the determinative impact. I mean, I think there are lots of things out there that young people care about. That may be one of them.
Vivek Ramaswamy, Nikki Haley, Bobby Jindal, Kamala Harris have all received a lot of criticism at many different times for not being Indian American enough.
Look, I don't fault anybody for being who they are, but don't change who you are to try to fit some kind of conventional notion of what a presidential candidate should be or who the American people will embrace, because it turns out the American people are very sophisticated and savvy.
You talk about looking at the world. You talk about your parents still being in India.
Yeah.
Are you concerned right now about American-Indian relationships?
Yeah, I have been concerned, and I've spoken out about this, and I've been criticized by Indian Americans. This is one of the ways that I'm told that I'm not Indian enough. Even though I have family that lives there, I've lived in villages all over India. I do believe that religious freedom, freedom of communication, freedom of the press is really, really important to me, and it's one of the dear values that I treasure of Indian democracy, and I have been concerned about some of what I've seen happening, particularly the anti-Muslim sentiment in India and the way in which the press has been cracked down on by this prime minister, and the reports about extrajudicial killings and attempted assassinations right here in this country, which I know the DOJ is investigating right now. At the same time, I see the value of India, the tremendous opportunity that India as a country has to really power the world for better.
Quick rapid fire. Favorite Indian food or snack that you know you should stay away from, but you can't?
Pakora.
Naan.
Samosas?
Samosa, naans.
I'm Puran Poli.
Who should play you in a biopic? Bollywood star or Hollywood Indian?
Shah Rukh Khan.
How did I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. Say that.
Salman Khan.
Number of years before we have an Indian American president?
Anytime now.
Soon.
Our thanks to Zoreen for that.